Cool. Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending another webinar of NeuralSeek. And we did an interview last time with Steve, and the feedback was great. I know that talking to a lot of clients every day, AI is so buzzword heavy. It's such a noisy space. It's such a honestly, you don't know how much is bravado and how much is rooted in and grounded in truth and in actuality. And that's what gets me really excited about introducing our next guest, Jay Moore. He's the CIO that actually brings real AI to action at National Beta. And he partnered with Steve on doing this in actuality. And he approached this challenge shaped by experience of successful go lives. And he shared with us during the prep for this, like witnessing the dot-com boom and the costly things that people did during that time and how it kind of reminds him of AI nowadays. So I'm really excited for him to share his expertise as a true builder and innovator of AI. So we'll start with this. Jay, what can AI actually do? And give us your general thoughts on AI.
Yeah, for us, can't speak to all organizations and fields, but for us, it's really an opportunity to save time. Um, we are small in our staffing. We don't have a lot of extra staff. We grow very slowly as far as staffing goes. So, and there's a reason for that is to keep our costs to our members. We're a nonprofit down. So we're very mindful of that. So what can we bring to the table to allow our staff to do better things that maybe AI can step in and take over for them, replace that piece of what they do. So for us, it's really about time, um, being able to serve more customers 24/7, which is another thing that AI does. It doesn't sleep like we do.
No, I love that. I think that's what talking to a lot of clients, I know that they think that AI is this like magic and there's so much like mysticism around it, but I like that you're just rooting it on what it's really built to do. It's a time saver, right?
Right.
Um, Now, in terms of your experience of evaluating tools, talk about your evaluation of our tool. You can talk about your engagement with Steve and his team. We'd love to hear some insight into that.
Sure. I was approached by our CEO and our board to kind of say we need some AI. Okay, well that's great. What does that mean for us? So, we I started looking at kind of where that might plug in, and and then before I even really looked at how it plugged in, I looked at what AI can do and started evaluating other tools. My first journey took me on just like a chat bot that's built into customer service platform. They all have them now, um, which, gives you some AI, some capabilities. But that just led me to a different journey of speaking out, so reaching out to IBM as one of those people, and they explained their platform. Steve came alongside, set up some demonstrations that were very detailed, like they've tied into some of my APIs in a live demo, and we did crazy things during a demo, and that was no one else approached that. And NeuralSeek came alongside and then showed kind of like how their tool ties into it all to give me this kind of no code, low code way of doing it, moving it to production so much faster. And then the visibility into kind of seeing how AI really works, being able,
Mm.
see if someone asks a question to a chatbot, I can follow that through all the way from the front end to the back end. I can look in the logs and see what kind of documentation it thought it was pulling from to see that. And then that gave so much visibility into the documentation, our content, our knowledge base. Well, if the answer is not in the knowledge base, AI just can't make up an answer, or it can, but that's usually not the right answer,
Right.
or the answer you want. So it gave us visibility into maybe some holes we might have had in our documentation, our knowledge base. It was neat how you could just go in and add that into the knowledge base, tell IBM Watson Discovery to recrawl the site. It pulls in the new content, and then voila, the answer is now correct. Uh,
Hmm.
so it was just really neat to watch the whole flow. All these tools kind of work together to solve the problem. And I know we talk about a front end chatbot on our website and maybe our mobile app, but there's so much more to it as well. There's capability for it to tie into our APIs and to actually do things and not just spit out answers. We could have a logged in customer say, "Hey, how can I add another advisor onto our club?" Well, then the chatbot could say, "Well, I can do that for you. What's the name of this person? What's their email address?" It calls the right API, inserts them to our system, and sends that new person their email and credentials to log in. Um, and that's, I mean, we have like 18,000 turnovers on teachers every year on these clubs. So that's 18,000 times our customer service staff doesn't have to do that. So, I mean, that in alone is massive.
Hmm. We're it's so funny you're saying. I was just on with right before this call with a client helping them articulate to their executives the benefit of a platform like NeuralSeek. And what you were talking about, and I want to ask you a question just based off what you shared. The Because everything boils down to a prompt, right? And then
Mhm.
there's three distinct pieces. There's the data coming into the prompt, there's the formation of the prompt, and then there's the LLM you choose to use it. And I was talking to the client about how NeuralSeek gives you both the control and visibility into each of those segments. So
Right.
I'd love to hear like your thoughts about like that thought. Like, is that how you're now looking at AI? Because that's how I look at it.
It is. And I know Joy mentioned this a lot to me, and I've heard this a lot since college, garbage in, garbage out.
Mhm.
And, it really is eye-opening that when I read a piece of content, for example, we had explaining our fees if you come to our event. Well, if someone asked a question of, if I'm a parent, do I have to pay the late fee or I pay the on-site fee or whatever? So I was like, well, that's an easy answer. It's the on-site fee. But when we go and read that, it's not clear. So the AI answered wrong, but that's because our data wasn't clear. So we corrected that, made it more clear, put in some bullet points, laid it out, and now it's a beautiful answer.
No, I
Yeah,
love like those
without those
those
logs and a way to track all that and see the confidence and see why it was pulling the wrong answer, it's just kind of like, well, why did it do that? I have no idea. Well, now it's clear. You can find right exactly what was wrong.
no, exactly what you're saying, like that visibility and granularity to understand all of it, like that's like the real power, right? And it's funny how you also mentioned that whole crap data out, crap data in equals crap data out, like how it's almost like a cycle. I remember when I've been in the industry now for a decade. Remember when that was one of the first things they taught you, right? It was like make sure you know your data going in because if it's crap data in, it's crap data out. It's funny,
Yep.
it's all cycle.
Yeah.
You've mentioned it a couple times, and this is where I was excited to have you on because just know that you actually are seeing the benefits of AI and you emphasize the cost savings. You've shared some other stories. So I'd love to hear if you have any other examples where maybe like an impact to your business that you didn't really foresee and then now you're experiencing. Um, that'd be great to hear.
Um, I wouldn't say anything up front necessarily, but it has brought on some interesting thoughts we've had. Um, so one of my thoughts, and we haven't fully developed this out yet, is we have a competition for kids. It's called creative writing. It's just as you expect. But those kids submit this creative writing thing on a form on a website and they just kind of paste it in. Well, that's easy. But then for a larger convention, we have 100 of those. And now we're asking volunteer judges to read 100 creative writing prompts or submissions for, that fourth graders have written. And I've never been a teacher, or gosh, I don't want to be. But can you imagine reading 100 of those? I mean, if you're a fourth
Yeah.
grade teacher, maybe you're excited about it, but that's a lot to ask some volunteers to do. Um, and to be fair in judging, it's those same five judges that we have to read all 100 and they have to grade them all. So my thought is, what if I had Jordan, who's with NeuralSeek and has been awesome in helping me, come up with a little way to suck all those in into Discovery or in through Maestro, and then I'm just there, and then I'm going to prompt the AI with our rubric and some constraints about, this sets for fourth graders, this sets for fifth graders, and here are the rules. And now AI is going to judge that. And I imagine that's going to take AI minutes versus days for us. Um, and, I would like to see as a test AI judge 100 and have some humans judge 100 and see how
Mhm.
close they are, you know, be kind of
Yeah.
neat to see. But I mean, that's not a direct time-saving impact to us because volunteers do it. But if I can take those volunteers now and have them do other things, that might be more impactful on site versus, sitting at home and reading 100 creative writings.
Yeah, and maybe it could become something like it's a first pass, and then
Yeah,
the top 10 get a more detailed judging, so that they like
yeah,
a judging experience that they never would have gotten, right? Because out of
yeah,
time constraint, those judges were rushing through.
yeah.
No, I mean that's so great to hear. I love it. So a lot of people are overwhelmed with trying to do AI, and you've already demonstrated clearly in this call in 10 short minutes that you've done it. Looking back, like how would you start?
For us, it was really do some research on an internal thinking and looking and really try to see what problem you're trying to solve.
Mhm.
Um, and then you can like go out and find the fit and the match that works for you, right? If it's like, I mean, I used to say this all the time in our organization. I felt like sometimes we were just shooting things with a shotgun and we're hoping something hit, right? Well, no, I want to take a rifle and I want to hit this target and I want to be very direct, bullseye. I want it to work great. So, you know, look internally, really figure out, take the time to figure out what you want to solve. And if you don't understand AI, then I guess the first step is to go out and do some serious research on what it can do and then see where it can plug into your organization, where it can fit.
No, that's great advice. I think there's just such a cloudiness when it comes to like what is doing AI. Like I know what you've described today. Those are real use cases of AI because they're custom built for your business. Like
Right.
you're not just slapping Copilot down the table and saying, "Okay, we're AI." You're like,
Right.
"No, like we have a very unique business here at National Beta, and we're going to integrate AI into our flow and our daily lives." So, wondering, okay, so now that's how you start. How would you recommend thinking about like scaling? So after you have your first couple use cases, now you're in the weeds of it and you're probably thinking about it all the time. Jordan is the best. So you have like personal hands-on assistance. Then you got Steve
Yes.
and his team,
Yes.
right? So I guess what's your thought process now as you look to scale? Are you constantly looking around being like AI here, AI there, AI here? Walk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, there is some thoughts to some of that. Yes, in the short answer, Now that you've had some success with the AI and you kind of understand and you can, apply it to different areas of your organization, it is interesting to kind of walk up and down the hallway and you're wondering what those people over there are doing. And maybe I might be able to do it faster and better than they can. But I never approach AI as the purpose of like, replacing people in that respect, as we joke. But, I think AI can do things and humans can do things differently and better. So, let's let AI do what it can do well. And some of you, like our customer service team, who are tied down to these repetitive questions, routine things, adding these sponsors, doing this stuff over and over again. Well, now they can reach out to clubs that have we haven't heard from in a while. They can cold call, warm call, do all these retention efforts, and they'll have more time to do that, which may impact our growth better. So, let them do those things and let AI do some of its things, and I think we'll just all be happy.
No, I love it. Um, any final thoughts?
Any final thoughts? I do think it was important to take the time to find the right partners. It really was. Um, Steve Grandview brought along the right team for me. Um, took the time to listen to literally what I was wanting, and then he took the time to put together some demonstrations and to show what their solution was. Um, I mean, I talked to one AI vendor that didn't take phone calls. Everything was over email, and they would send a video maybe of how their platform worked. Um, yeah, so yeah, it's it's nice to have that partner to come alongside you and really understand what you're trying to do, who can explain AI to you and how it impacts you and your business. I think that was a real critical part of this. Um, and just slow down, don't do things you don't understand. Fully understand where you're going and what you need before you get there. Yeah, there's nothing like a failed project. I know Joy hates those. Um, yeah, it's it's horrible when things go wrong and you spend all this money and then you have to look at your board, you have to look at your CEO and explain why it didn't work.
No, wise words. Wise words. Could not agree more. Um, Joy, you want to prop MC?
Yeah, I will. Well, first off, everyone joining us, give Jay a round of applause. Um, I want to shout out Jay. Jay, you're a delight to work with as well. Steve as well. I think that that's like the fun part about AI is actually the people of AI. So I think that that's delightful. We do want to just do on our monthly webinar, make sure that we have a little time. So Lawrence will turn some time over to you so that you can do some brief updates. And then Jordan, if you have any updates and documentation that we need to track, we'll turn the last of the few minutes to you. We want to make sure we end timely. So Lawrence, you go next.
Sure, I'll keep it light on the, sales and marketing updates, but we're definitely hitting our stride here at the end of the year. We're working with a lot of customers, doing a lot of scoping around real projects. So if anyone has any projects they want to take down or earmark some budget for the new year, like definitely come reach out to us. We're ready to step in on that. Next is RJ couldn't make it today, so I'm gonna do a quick rundown on some cool updates that NeuralSeek has done. So we're introducing dynamic personalization of agents. And what does that mean? That means that we are designing the ability for you to customize the interaction, not just based off of the input that was coming into the system and routing it in our neural config to different neural hubs, knowledge bases, LLMs, but also having it dynamically routed based off the user. So think about a lot of situations where someone is interacting with your AI and all you know about them is their user ID. You want them to not interact with a certain part of your knowledge base. This will allow you to do that dynamic personalization. The next update we have, oh, I'm actually going to screen share. I'm going to screen share the product. 1 second. Here we go. So the next thing that we're adding is the ability to have custom guardrails in and out. So one of my competitors that we talk about with our customers all the time, they added a guardrail feature. It's really just LLMs guardrailing LLMs. We thought it was kind of a cool idea, so we said let's introduce it. To be clear, our other guardrails are all math-based, not LLMs guardrailing LLMs, but we now have the ability to have an LLM governing the input and an LLM governing the output. The example I say, sorry to just pick on anyone from New Jersey, but you can create a guardrail around anything related to New Jersey. I want to stop the flow. So if it's someone asking a question like, where's the best casino in Atlantic City? The LLM will determine that that's associated with New Jersey and it'll stop the flow. This can happen going in or it can happen going out. The next is that we added a lot of features around our integration with Slack. So Slack is a great tool to meet your business where they're at. On the topic of successful go lives, we want to make sure that you're meeting uh, your business where they live. So with that, we added a lot of Slack connectors, able to handle all the dynamic things. And we actually started building a lot internally for Slack apps and Slack bots, all that good funness. The next is we now have just for quality of life, Maestro favorites on the sidebar here. So you can now have their favorite recent nodes and most used nodes ready to go when you're building your agents. Next is we're going to have Google search integration bolstered. So anyone who's doing complex agent making, the search game is one that's ever changing, right? They don't want you to use them. They do want you to use them. They release APIs. They update their APIs. So we now have Google search integration. Next is we do have OOTB email sending. So like no longer do you need to have your server information within our node. This was a fun one when I used our Maestro auto builder feature to auto build a node, a flow for a client. And I was like, send out an email at the end of the auto build. I didn't think it would actually work. So when I ran it, and then I was getting like 10 emails during the demo because I kept hitting run. It's kind of funny. The next is Maestro batch calling. So you can run an agent in the background and then have it pull other agents for status updates. So that's it. But what's really cool about all this is I demo this product and I talk about and use it for our own sauce every day. And I always run into features that I didn't even know about that got added yesterday. So we're pushing hard on the feature addition front, and we'll update our documentation accordingly. With that, I'll hand it over to Jordan.
I'm going to grab a screen share from you as well,
Yeah.
Lawrence. So I do typically talk about documentation and new updates coming from our documentation. Of course, we're expecting it to be updated with a lot of the new features. There's something, so our documentation lives at documentation.neuralseek.com as always. So I can pull up that website here. As we're working, of course, they'll just always update documentation accordingly with new features and or guides. We're working internally too on just revamping our entire documentation site. So that is something that I'm looking forward to introducing in the new year for everyone. As just some updated new features and services and navigation to make this platform more user-friendly for our technical users. With just a few minutes left, I did want to speak on our community efforts and our certification program. So on our homepage of NeuralSeek.ai, if I expand ecosystem, there's our certification platform, which contains level 1, 2, and 3, getting you NeuralSeek expert certified. But upcoming in the new year, we will also be hosting a 6-week winter cohort. Our apply for internship page will give you a good summary and a lot of detail into what goes into this internship, and what success looks like in this role, why it's worth investing, learning about AI tools, which we had just heard from Jay earlier as well. So if you're really looking to dive into just not only what does NeuralSeek do and how this could benefit myself, my portfolio, or my company, but just learning about a history of AI, building projects with AI for business. We really highlight that here in our internship program. You'll add in some basic details around your name, a portfolio, and as I scroll down to the preferred internship in Entrepreneur Week, that will be our dates. So the middle of January, the 14th through February 18th will be our next winter internship. We're currently doing our intensive entrepreneurship week, which breaks our 6-week internship content into 1 week. So it's much faster paced, but all the same level of detail. So that next one will be in March. I highly recommend it. Joy and I have put a lot of work into it and just love, I personally just love the sense of community and just being able to teach about AI and about NeuralSeek. So that's something to look forward to.
Well, I feel successful because we have 1 minute. So I say, everyone, a round of applause for a great webinar today. Delight to Jay. Thank you again. Steve, as always, great to partner with you, and everyone have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.